Hi, and welcome to the third part of my classic lick series on the playing of Pee Wee Crayton. And in this third and final section, we're going to look at some of his classic licks, some of his individual licks and ideas that he uses in a lot of his different songs. And I'm going to show you some licks all by themselves in isolation, and I'll also show you some within the context of particular songs or specific songs. Let's get started. Our first lick is in the key of C, and these first 5 or 6 are just some kind of the vocabulary of Pee Wee Crayton's playing. And when you listen to a lot of electric blues, you hear this lick quite a bit. If we're playing in the key of C, and what I'm doing is going from the 8th fret, hammering onto the 9th fret of the 3rd string, and then winding up on the 8th fret of the 1st string. When Pee Wee Crayton played something like this, he had a unique approach to this. He would slide into it, do something like that, where sliding instead of the hammer on. And what I'm doing here, if I'm in the key of C, I'm sliding from the 7th fret of the 3rd string to the 9th fret. And then I'm down picking the 8th fret of the 2nd string, 8th fret of the 1st string. Sometimes he just does it like that, and other times he does some more picking, something like that. And that's something you hear him do quite a bit. So any key, if he's in B flat, and he'll mix that up and use different patterns and rhythms and things like that. So that lick here, he does that a lot to kick off his solos. And we're going to do a tune called Bounce Pee Wee for the 4th part of this series. I'm going to do a separate instrumental lesson, and I'll show you how he uses it. Second lick that you hear Pee Wee Crayton use quite a bit is this diminished chord type thing. So if we're in the key of G, you hear this. And what he's doing here is this, that diminished chord. Sometimes he'll do it just with 2 fingers. He'll do something like this, where he'll just have his pinky on the 6th fret of the 1st string, his second or ring finger on the 5th fret of the 2nd string, then his 1st finger will go to the 3rd fret, 1st and 2nd strings, and he'll bounce back and forth. But when you hear this, he's got a whole chord shape. And what you do for this diminished chord is, if we're playing in G, put your 1st finger on the G at the 5th fret of the 4th string. Your 2nd finger is on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. Ring fingers on the 6th fret of the 3rd string. Pinky is on the 6th fret of the 1st string. And then when you strum it, just using downstroke, doing a little bend with all my fingers. And then you can take that and go right to the G major, this shape, just using the 2 fingers. So it's just an F shape moved down or up 2 frets to the G. So the whole lick. Sometimes he'll do that in a solo, and he'll go to the 4 like this. Whoops. And all I'm doing is making part of a C 9th with my 1st finger at the 3rd fret over the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd strings. And it goes back to the 1. Something like that. So that chord, you'll hear a lot. A lot of times at the end of a song, he'll end the song. Do something like that at the end using that same idea. So there's another Pee Wee Crayton lick. Third order idea. Pee Wee Crayton uses a lot of these, what I call hops, and this he has in common with T-Bone Walker. So if we stay in the key of G, you hear him do stuff like this. And so that part. Now sometimes, like T-Bone Walker, I think a lot of times he's doing this. But with a lot of the Pee Wee stuff, it sounds like he's just bending up. So I've got my 1st finger on the 3rd fret, we're in G, 3rd fret of the 2nd string, My second and third fingers I've got on the 4th and 5th frets of the 3rd string. I'm keeping the first finger stationary and I'm bending up the 3rd string and then getting the 2nd string. And in any key, you move that to B flat, C. You can move that anywhere on the neck pretty much and play it. And that is a very common Pee Wee Crayton lick. I call those hops. It has kind of a hopping sound to it. Now he does the same thing or something similar on the 1st and 2nd strings. And I'll also use the key of, actually I'm going to go to C for this. And he does this. And that, I am sliding. And I've got my first finger on the C, 8th fret of the 1st string. And then my 3rd finger, you could use your, my 4th finger, my pinky, you could use your 3rd finger too. And that might be what he's doing. A lot of guys will do that, give him a little more control. If you're good with your pinky, you can use that too. It's probably easier with your 3rd finger. And I'm sliding that from the 11th fret of the 2nd string to the 13th fret. And when I slide, then I come back to that 1st string. So the whole thing. And then back into whatever you're going to do there. So that's what I call a long hop, or a hop on the 1st and 2nd strings. In a lot of Pee Wee's songs, he'll tail out on a solo or trail off using that lick to end. Now another Pee Wee Crayton idea is his use of double stops, and he does it in a very kind of simple pattern. And he does this in an instrumental tune called After Hours, and he does it in a number of his instrumental songs, where if he's in the key of G, which he uses quite a bit, he'll do something like this. Let me just play it all the way through for you one time. Then maybe go to the 4 in the song. So what he's doing is playing with his first finger on the 10th fret of the 1st string and his ring finger on the 12th fret of the 2nd string. That's a G double stop, and he's sliding into it from the 9th fret with his first finger on the 9th fret from one step below. So it's a 1, 2, 3. And then he's going to drop in the 2nd finger on the 11th fret of the 2nd string, keeps the first finger where it's at. Does that, and then this part is like the G7th, and this is just taking this 1, 2, 3 frets up. And I've got my first finger on the 13th fret of the 1st string, ring finger on the 15th fret of the 2nd string. It's a G7, same as that lick on the 2nd and 3rd strings. Now sometimes, like in After Hours, Blues After Hours, he does the same type of thing on the 2nd and 3rd strings. So he does this over the 1, and then when he goes to the 4 or the C, he does this. And then back into the 1. So all I'm doing here, this is a first position C bar chord, and I'm just putting my 2nd and 3rd fingers, my 2nd finger's on the 8th fret of the 2nd string, ring fingers on the 9th fret of the 3rd string. That's a C. 1, 2, 3. That's a C7. So there's a C7th chord. That's a C7 double stop. So you put that whole thing together, you get something like this. And back into the 1. And there's quite a few instrumentals. Sometimes they'll do this. just stay there. Other times he'll go to the 7th. But that's a thing that Pee Wee Crayton uses on quite a few of his tunes. So there's another thing that he does quite a bit, are these single string kind of bend things. This is in the key of G, and this is from the instrumental Bounce Pee Wee, which I'm going to go through. And in the key of G, he does something like this. So this. And what I'm doing is just, this is G. I've got my first finger on the 3rd fret of the 1st string. And I'm just bending with my pinky at the 6th fret. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And he does this. So I'm picking the 6th fret of the 1st string, 3rd fret, and then the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. And he does this typical little Pee Wee Crayton lick there at the end to wrap up that lick, so that and he might do something like that and then continue with the solo. So just getting on that first string, if you're in the key of C, like that. Another thing that he does is kind of a cool little sequence. This is also from the tune of Bounce Pee Wee. He does these little lick patterns, like repetitive melody patterns in the middle of his solos. And this is one from Bounce Pee Wee. He does something like this. And the melody part, this. And then he'll do something. And just playing those melodies. And he does this in the instrumental Bounce Pee Wee, but I've heard him do that in some other songs too. So the first part sounds to me like he's just starting on the 3rd fret of the 1st string, 6th fret of the 2nd string with a slight bend, back to the 3rd fret of the 1st string, 6th fret of the 2nd string, 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and then just walking from the 5th to the 3rd fret on the 3rd string and winding up on the 5th fret of the 2nd string, and he plays that twice. And then he does this, where he's sliding into the 5th fret of the 2nd string to the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and then the 5th fret of the 4th string, and then walks in 3rd fret, 4th fret on the 3rd string, 3rd fret, 5th fret on the 2nd string. So then to wrap it up, he does some with a lick. Sounds to me like that. 3rd, 5th on the 2nd string, 3rd fret of the 1st string, winds up on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. And then this little lick. You hear this in Blues After Hours, and he uses this and variations of this in a couple different songs. He does this. Whoops. And this little thing. Or something like that. And what he's doing is going from the 5th fret of the 1st string to the 3rd fret, and then the open 3rd string, and then 5, 3 on the 2nd string, and then he does this. Sounds like just a little bend, or maybe just twice on the 5th fret of the 3rd string, winds up on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and then he does a lot of different stuff at that point. But the lick, something like that. But this, that little lick you hear him use, and sometimes he plays it even when he's not in G. And I haven't figured out how he does that. And I think he just kind of mutes that open third string. In the tune After Hours, he plays it a little differently. He does this. Whoops. Does something like that. And he does this. And then 5-3 on the second string. And winds up on the 5th fret of the 5th string. Like that. Really cool. Off, just getting that open string in there. This would be, now, moving on. Number 9. And there's a tune called Do Unto Others, and there's also a tune called You Know Yeah, where he does this lick, which is something you can use in a lot of different ways. It's in the key of B flat. And he does something like this. So it's like this, with the slide in. So he's starting from the B flat on the 4th string at the 8th fret, and then he's walking in on the 3rd string, 6th, 7th fret, and then 6, 8 on the 2nd string, and then to the B flat, which is the 6th fret of the 1st string, and then slides it down or up. Whoops. And he might use that at the end of a phrase, so he might do something like this. Like that, to lead into the next part. Oh, another thing that he does in Do Unto Others and also You Know Yeah is this double stop bend. So we'll stay in B flat. He does something like this. And then he actually does this, adds that on. But the double stop, what he's doing, the first finger is on the 6th fret of the 2nd string, and it's the same position where we would do the hop. But this time he's going to keep the fingers here and just push up, bend, but as he's bending he's going to pick both the 2nd and 3rd string. And then pull off from the 8th fret to the 6th fret on the 3rd string. So something like this. You can wrap those or include those two together. So that leg sounds like something that Gatemouth Brown did quite a bit. These double stop bend. And there's a couple tunes, the two I mentioned, where Pee Wee Crayton uses that. That's a cool idea. You can play it in D, E, G, any key you want where you can make that. For the next lick, we're going to take a look at a couple ideas from Charlie Christian's playing that Pee Wee Crayton uses in a number of different songs. And there's quite a few of Charlie Christian's ideas that Pee Wee Crayton uses, but we're just going to focus on these two, and I'll kind of show you another one. We don't have it tabbed out, but I'll throw it in here. One is from an instrumental tune in the key of C, and I can't remember the tune. It's one of those instrumentals, Pee Wee's Boogie or Rockin' the Blues, or one of those many that are in C. I'll try to remember it. I should have written it down, but I didn't. I'll put it on the tab when I print it out. But he's in the key of C, and he plays something like this, which is a Charlie Christian idea. I didn't play that very well. I'm not very good at that, but I can show you what he's doing. He's sliding into it, like he does, like the first lick that we learned. And then he's playing on the 8th fret of the 1st string. And then he's doing this, which I'm not real good at. Maybe just need to get warmed up. And it's a pull-off from the 11th fret to the 10th fret to the 8th fret on the first string. Same thing on the second string. And he does the same thing. I can play it slow on the 3rd and 4th strings, but he plays it down here with his first finger anchored on the 5th fret, 2nd and 3rd strings. Whoops, 3rd and 4th strings. So he's doing, which to play fast, it's not so easy. That's something I need to practice at, but this is a really cool thing that he's doing here. So he leads in, I'll try to play it slow one time. And then when he comes here, he goes to the 10th fret, which is a C of the 4th string. And it sounds to me like he quickly hammers on from the 8th to the 9th fret of the 3rd string. And then sometimes he goes to the 7th fret of the 4th string. So let me try that slow one time. He comes around again. And does it again. And that's the lick. Now, again, I'm not real good at playing that yet. But that's what he's doing. So it's those two sets. Same lick played on the 1st string, 2nd string, 3rd string, 4th string. And that is a Charlie Christian. Like, I can't remember which song Charlie plays that in, but now the next one is really easy, and I can play this one pretty simple. And in the same key, when he finishes that lick, in the Charlie Christian tune, there's a horn part that goes like this. And then it goes into this. Something close to that. What I'm doing is taking my first finger and putting it on the 8th fret of the 3rd string. And then my ring finger is going to go on the 10th fret of the 2nd string. And I'm starting on the 3rd. I'm just playing 3rd, 2nd string. Just back and forth. And I'm using the same things I did with the last lick. Or like that. So it's the exact same thing. He played over the 4, played over the 1, and then even over the 5. He does something like that to resolve it. So there's a simple Charlie Christian idea you could throw in the middle of a solo this. Which is kind of neat. I use that one quite a bit. This one, got to work on that one.